Treatise on White Magic, or The Way of the Disciple by Alice A. Bailey. Rules for Magic. Rule 1. The solar angel collects himself, scatters not his force, but, in meditation deep, communicates with his reflection. Rule 2. When the shadow hath responded, in meditation deep the work proceedeth. The lower light is thrown upward. The greater light illuminates the three, and the work of the four proceedeth. Rule 3. The energy circulates. The point of light, the product of the labors of the four, waxeth and groweth. The myriads gather round its glowing warmth, until its light recedes. Its fire grows dim. Then shall the second sound go forth. Rule 4. Sound, light, vibration, and the form blend and merge, and thus the work is one. It proceedeth under the light, and naught can hinder now the work from going forward. The man breathes deeply. He concentrates his forces, and drives the thought form from him. Rule 5. 3 things engage the solar angel before the sheath of the one who thus creates, and steady contemplation. Thus are the heart, the throat, and eye, allied for triple service. Rule 6. The devas of the lower four feel the force when the eye opens. They are driven forth and lose their master. Rule 7. The dual forces of the plane round the vital power must be sought are seen. The two paths face the solar angel. The poles vibrate. A choice confronts the one who meditates. Rule 8. The Ignatians respond to the sound. The waters ebb and flow. Let the magician guard himself from drowning at the point where land and water meet. The midway spot, which is neither dry nor wet, must provide the standing place whereon his feet are set. When water, land and air meet, there is the place for magic to be wrought. Rule 9. Condensation next ensues. The fire and waters meet, the form swells and grows. Let the magician set his form upon the proper path. Rule 10. As the waters bathe the form created, they are absorbed and used. The form increases in its strength. Let the magician thus continue, until the work suffices. Let the outer builders cease their labors then, 3. And let the inner workers enter on their cycle. Rule 11. 3 things the worker with the law must now accomplish. First, ascertain the formula, which will confine the lives within the ensphering wall. Next, pronounce the words which will tell them what to do and where to carry that which has been made. And finally, utter forth the mystic phrase which will save him from their work. Rule 12. The web pulsates. It contracts and expands. Let the magician seize the midway point and thus release those prisoners of the planet, whose note is right and justly tuned to that which must be made. Rule 13. The magician must recognize the four. Note in his work the shade of violet they evidence, and thus construct the shadow. When this is so, the shadow clothes itself, and the four become the seven. Rule 14. The sound swells out. The hour of danger to the soul courageous draweth near. The waters have not hurt the white creator, and naught could drown nor drench him. Danger from fire and flame menaces now, and dimly yet the rising smoke is seen. Let him again, after the cycle of peace, call on the solar angel. Rule 15. The fires approach the shadow, yet burn it not. The fire sheath is completed. Let the magician chant the words that blend the fire and water. From A Treatise on Cosmic Fire, Introductory remarks. Man's three aspects in the study of the ideas outlined in this book, and their careful consideration. Certain basic concepts are borne in mind. First, that the matter of prime importance to each student is not the fact of a particular teacher's personality but the measure of truth for which he stands, and the student's power to discriminate between truth, partial truth, and falsity. Second, that with increased esoteric teaching, comes increased exoteric responsibility. Let each student with clarity therefore take stock of himself, remembering that understanding comes through application of the measure of truth grasped to the immediate problem and environment, and that the consciousness expands through use of the truth imparted. 4. That a dynamic adherence to the chosen path, and a steady perseverance that overcomes and remains unmoved by aught that may eventuate, is a prime requisite, and leads to the portal admitting to a kingdom, a dimension and a state of being which is inwardly or subjectively known. It is this state of realization which produces changes in form and environment commensurate with its power. These 3 suggestions will merit a close consideration by all, and their significance must be somewhat grasped before further real progress is possible. It is not my function to make individual and personal application of the teaching given. That must be done by each student for himself. You have wisely guarded the teaching from the taint of superimposed authority, and there lies back of your books no esoteric principle of hierarchical authority or support, such as has produced the narrow limits of certain ecclesiastical bodies and groups, differing as widely as the Catholic Church, Christian Science, those who believe in the verbal inspiration of the Scriptures, and numerous, so-called esoteric organizations. The curse of many groups has been the whispered word that those who know wish. The Master says, the Great Ones command, and the group of silly sheep feebly and blindly tumble over themselves to obey. They think thereby, through their misplaced devotion, to contact certain authoritative personages, and to get into heaven by some shortcut. You have wisely guarded your books from the reaction accorded to those who claim to be masters, adepts and initiates. My anonymity and status must be preserved, and my rank be regarded as only that of a senior student and of an aspirant to that expansion of consciousness which is for me the next step forward. What I say of truth alone is of moment. The inspiration and help I can accord to any pilgrim on the path is alone vital. That which I have learned through experience is at the disposal of the earnest aspirant. And the wideness of the vision which I can impart, owing to my having climbed higher up the mountain than some, is my main contribution. Upon these points the students are at liberty to ponder, omitting idle speculation, as to the exact details of unimportant personalities, and environing conditions. Our theme is to be that of the magic of the soul, and the key thought, underlying all that may appear in this book, is to be found in the words of the Bhagavad Gita, which runs as follows. Though I am unborn, the soul that passes not away, though I am the Lord of beings, yet as Lord over my nature I become manifest, through the magical power of the soul. Gita IV.6. The statistical and the academic is a necessary basis, and a preliminary step for most scientific study, but in this book we will center our attention on the life aspect, and the practical application of truth to the daily life of the aspirant. Let us study how we can become practical magicians, and in what way we can best live the life of a spiritual man, and of an aspirant to accepted discipleship in our own peculiar times, state and environment. To do this we will take the 15 rules for magic to be found in my earlier book, entitled A Treatise on Cosmic Fire. I will comment on them, dealing not with their cosmic significance, or with solar and other correspondences and analogies, but applying them to the work of the aspirant, and giving practical suggestions for the better development of soul contact and soul manifestation. I shall take for granted certain knowledges, and assume the students can follow, and comprehend certain technical terms, that I may be led to use. I am not dealing with babes but with matured men, and women who have chosen a certain way and who are pledged to walk in the light. 5. I seek in this book to do 4 things, and to make appeal to 3 types of people. It is based, as regards its teaching, upon 4 fundamental postulates. These are intended to 1. Teach the laws of spiritual psychology, as distinguished from mental, and emotional psychology. 2. Make clear the nature of the soul of man, and its systemic and cosmic relationships. This will include its group relationship as a preliminary step. 3. Demonstrate the relations between the self and the sheaves which that self may use, and thus clarify public thought as to the constitution of man. 4. Elucidate the problem of the supernormal powers, and give the rules for their safe and useful development. We stand now towards the close of the great transition period, and the subtler realms of life are closer than ever before. Unusual phenomena and inexplicable happenings are commoner than at any time heretofore, whilst matters telepathic, psychic, and peculiar occupy the attention even of skeptics, scientists, and religionists. Reasons for the appearance of phenomena are being everywhere sought, and societies are formed for their investigation and demonstration. Many are likewise going astray in the effort to induce in themselves psychic conditions, and the energy-producing factors, which give rise to the manifestation of peculiar powers. This book will endeavor to fit the information given into the scheme of life as we today recognize it, and will show how basically natural and true is all that is termed mysterious. All is under law, and the laws need elucidation now that man's development has reached the stage of a juster appreciation of their beauty and reality. 3 types of people will respond to this book. They are: 1. Those open-minded investigators who are willing to accept its fundamentals as a working hypothesis, until these are demonstrated to be erroneous. They will be frankly agnostic, but willing temporarily, in their search for truth, to try out the methods and follow the suggestions laid down for their consideration. 2. Aspirants and disciples. They will study this treatise in order to understand themselves better, and because they seek to help their brother man. They will not accept its dicta blindly, but will experiment, check and corroborate with care the stages and steps laid down for them in this section of the teachings of the ageless wisdom. 3. Initiates. These persons will arrive at a meaning which will not be apparent to those in the first group, and which will only be suspected by the more advanced members of the second. Within themselves they know the truth of many of its statements and will realize the subjective working out of many of the laws. These laws of nature have effects in 3 distinct realms. A. Physically, where they demonstrate as effects in the dense form. B. Etherically, where they demonstrate as the energy lying back of those effects. C. Mentally, where they concern the impulses which produce the other 2. The treatise on cosmic fire dealt primarily with the solar system, and only touched upon human aspects and correspondences insofar as they demonstrated the relation of the part to the whole, and of the unit to the totality. The present book will deal more specifically with human development and unfoldment, elucidating the causes, which are responsible for the present effects, and pointing to the future, and its possibilities, and to the nature of the unfolding potentialities. 6. This book will be based also upon 4 fundamental postulates which must be admitted by the student of the succeeding pages as providing an hypothesis worthy of his consideration and trial. No true investigator of the ageless wisdom is asked to